Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to you all. It is a wonderful day and last day of the month. I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all presenters and participants that has joined. Thank you for making the time to join today's section. I'd like to introduce today's presenters to you. My name is Laurel Onumono. I head the CyberCloud business, and I have been in the ICT industry for over 15 years. And I have with me today Sumit Singh, Sydney Soso, and Tobechukwu Ajoko. Sumit Singh is the VMware's cloud provider, business head, Sub-Sahara Africa, leverages on his over 20 years experience, knowledge and understanding of multi-cloud, business strategy, and sales development to building and growing the VMware cloud footprint within the territory and helping cross-functional teams and customers embrace the transformative and disruptive thinking required for cloud success. Sumit will be talking about the roles of digital transformation and cloud, the sovereign cloud, CyberCloud as a multi-cloud provider, and multi-cloud management. And Sydney Soso, he is the VMware's partner business manager, West and Central Africa. Sydney is a 16 years tech evangelist, spanning multiple OEMs. Prior to joining VMware, he has worked as a senior technology consultant and solution architect in both HP and HPE and Dell EMC, respectively. He will be talking about the data sovereignty policy in Nigeria and the role the federal government and regulatory bodies are also playing, because it's very, very key in this part of the developing world. Tobechukwu Ajoko heads the Cloud Technica. He is a very sound techie expert with over 14 years experience, and he will be sharing with us the different products that CyberCloud has, which will suit target audience today. On behalf of my group MD, Engineer Joe Onwubuya, and the entire CyberCloud team, I would like to welcome all of you to this section, which is about CyberCloud, simplifying the multi-cloud in Nigeria and West Africa. CyberCloud is the indigenous leading cloud computing service provider, as we all know, and also the first cloud partner to obtain VMware verified logo, which entails the cloud has a full array of capacities and competencies. So competencies are in offering all flavors of cloud computing services, such as platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, software as a service, and everything as a service. Our data center is built and located on an international standard Tier 3 certified data center in Lagos. For those of us just joining us, welcome to today's section. We have Sumit Singh, Sydney from our technical partner VMware, and Tobechukwu Ajoko once again, our technical head, who will be presenting to us a beautiful topic before us today, which is multi-cloud in Nigeria. There's a lot of different definitions regarding cloud and multi-cloud, but today's section will be simplifying a whole lot of those informations. Before we get started, if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the chat box. I will bring them up during the presentation if necessary, or we will respond during the Q&A time. Hello, Sumit. Sumit, are you okay?
Yeah, all good, Laurel.
Can you all hear me? Thank you very much. It's the last day of the month, and we're very, very glad and privileged to have everyone on board for today's section. Sumit and Singh, Can you hear me,
Yes, I
please?
can.
Interesting. Okay, so Sydney.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us?
We can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Fantastic. Okay, so to kickstart today's session, without taking much of our participants' time, would you like to tell us what today's section is all about and what role our data sovereignty policy is playing in the cloud computing industry in Nigeria?
Yes. Thanks a lot, everyone. It's a pleasure once again to be on this spectacular session. Indeed, I'm sure a lot of you may be aware of the initiative from NITSTAR. The idea behind that is to see, and from VMware also, what are we trying to do here? Is to complement the role of what I would call the local CSP or the local cloud providers. And why is that critical? It's critical because we also see the initiative that is coming from NITSTAR on how to ensure people's private data is protected, and the privacy of those information, it's key to the government, particularly in the direction of economic recovery growth. And in order to do that, we need to ensure that we not only partner the local CSP as they do their best. We are aware NITSTAR is targeting by 2024, 30% cloud adoption. And that can only happen if the likes of VMware partner people like CyberCloud to ensure they are ready to be able to onboard people that are coming to that platform. We also know that the agenda for the government is to ensure, particularly from the FPI, that's the federal public institutions, as well as SMEs, small and medium businesses, is to create that enabling environment that allows the private sector participation. And there's no better entity that is playing that role other than CyberCloud today. And for us at VMware, our job is to complement, to ensure that CyberCloud is ready and partner with the government to advance those initiatives of cloud adoption, and in the particular jurisdiction of Nigeria by 30% within 2024. So for us, sovereign cloud becomes a critical role in playing the particular role the government is expecting CSPs to play. So with me today to talk about, when we talk about sovereign cloud, what exactly is sovereign cloud and how is VMware redefining or shaping the landscape to then complement the government effort, it's Sumit. Sumit will be speaking to us about sovereign cloud and also the concept of multi-cloud in the area of digitalization, because we all know one of the core aspects of the government program is to digitalize most of their parastatals, or what I'll call the FPI, in order to leverage and as well as reduce costs. Today, a lot of the things that it's consuming a lot of capital from the government side, it's one of the things that the government identifies as shadow IT. So what is that shadow IT? Is where entities, particularly the federal public institutions, have silo IT environment that are not centralized. So one of the goals is for the government to see how they can adopt the approach of cloud in order to eliminate some of those waste. So Sumit will be going deeper and defining what sovereign cloud is all about. And feel free to ask any questions. And also you talk about what we have done so far as CyberCloud is concerned to enhance penetration and also adoption from the local content point of view. So I don't know, Laurel, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sydney. That was a very good remark and presentation there on data sovereignty policy, okay, and the impact it plays in the cloud computing industry. Okay, so let's welcome Sumit. Sumit will be making a presentation to all of us regarding the role of digital transformation, multi-cloud strategy and its management, and how CyberCloud as well too has partnered, okay, with VMware to actually take advantage of this to educate people in Nigeria, especially our CIOs, and also those in the DevOps and tech space, to understand the benefits of multi-cloud, the sovereign cloud, and also the multi-cloud management. Sumit?
So good day, everyone, and thanks for joining in. Privileged to be here, and to yourself, Laurel, and the CyberCloud team for affording us the opportunity to address the Nigerian market and the industry around our view of what cloud and multi-cloud means for the territory, and how best we are supporting these initiatives within the African territory. As you've introduced me, I head up the cloud provider business across sub-Saharan Africa, based in South Africa, but have really seen that cloud adoption and this multi-cloud journey for our customers has not been at times the most simplest one, and it can be something complex, and this is necessitating the need to partner with the likes of CyberCloud in order to simplify this journey and really bring cloud into a reality. You know, it's on every CIO's agenda, and I think we're all aware of that. But how do we really contextualize this? How do we materialize this, and how do we make it a reality? Africa is soon going to be seen, in my view, as the Silicon Valley of the world. So I think we need to embrace that and really showcase Africa, and in the same breath still embrace our data and keep that sovereign. So if you'll allow me, I'm going to share my screen and kick off with my presentation. So the topic of the day is rotates around simplifying multi-cloud for not only Nigeria but Africa as a whole, and CyberCloud is aptly positioned in order to address this need. As an agenda, I'm going to cover the Sovereign Cloud Initiative that VMware is running in terms of really addressing this need to unlock the data economy within Africa and Nigeria in particular, as well as data sovereignty as a construct or data sovereignty as a framework. Digital transformation and cloud, I believe the two are often seen as independent, so I'll be delving into where the two come together. What is the role that CyberCloud plays in this multi-cloud world, and what is the value in partnering with them in order to deliver cloud services to Nigeria as a territory? Multi-cloud management, what does that entail and what does that mean? And how is that delivered in an as-a-service fashion? I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Sydney, who touched on the National Cloud Computing Policy of Nigeria. And this is an extract from the National Cloud Computing Policy. And I'm going to hand over to you, Sydney, if you want to unpack this a little bit for us.
Yes. So I believe a lot has been said around this. And what's the policy all about? The policy, to a large extent, and from the get-go, is to see how we can improve adoption of cloud, and to a large extent, help reduce waste, particularly at the FPI level. And one of the things, if you look at the policy document, it speaks to the challenges around shadow IT. That's one, and also scalability as a major headache. And beyond that, or at the core of that, is also what they call the data protection, or how do we ensure that data being exchanged is well protected from a privacy perspective, whether it's health record or whether it's sexual orientation or ethnicity, those data that are peculiar to our jurisdiction, how do we ensure those things are exchanged properly? And so far as, so the policy to a large extent target not only the SMEs, but also entities that has government stakes in them. So what that means is that they also need to ensure that they abide by this particular policy framework. And this, the government reckon that can't be achieved without the help of the private sector, because you need a private sector to build the entity, because at the heart of that is also what they call the cloud first approach, which to a large extent speaks to the local content. The local content is what touches on what we call the local CSP, the cloud service provider. How do the government provide the enabling environment for them to be able to then drive the adoption as they envisage in their approach? One of the things the government is looking at by 2024 is to promote cloud adoption to a stage of at least 30%. And to achieve that, they believe that they require 35% participation in terms of investment in that area. And this is why I feel the initiatives by the likes of CyberCloud is critical. And as it's critical, and also VMware being an OEM, what are we doing to ensure we also supplement the effort of the government and promoting the enabling environment? What precisely we are doing is to ensure we partner with the likes of CyberCloud and help them create that enabling environment to ensure whatever they build, it's something that is reliable from a connectivity, from a data privacy law, and then also from agility and flexibility. So with that in mind, we came with a concept, and this is a concept not only limited to VMware, but it's something that has been in a trend called the sovereign cloud. And what precisely is underpinning sovereign cloud? The ability to leverage on agility and also ensure compliance so far as data is concerned. And also, we've also seen acceleration in cyber attacks. One of the things that we want to do is to ensure how do we help locally, that as the local CSPs begin to ramp up their capacities in areas of CSP, and then adoption of cloud, how do we ensure that whatever they are building, it's enough and it's future-proof from a security architecture to ensure whatever data we put on those platforms are safe. We also look at control. And then I think that's also one part of the policy framework, which touches on control. How do we ensure who becomes responsible for those things when those individual or private or citizens' data are ported on those platforms? So the approach we use from a typical hyperscaler can't necessarily be the same approach for things like this. So at VMware, what do? We also ensure we have these things in mind and then develop a framework around what they call the sovereign cloud in order to ensure people like CyberCloud have the enabling environment to be able to supplement the effort of the government. Now, Sumit will go a bit deeper on what sovereign cloud is all about, what we have done in other jurisdictions, and what we are currently trying to do with CyberCloud, or what we've started doing, and how we are also trying to incorporate those initiatives from the government into the specific areas CyberCloud would like to focus on in terms of sovereign cloud. So without further ado, I probably want to hand over to Sumit, so Sumit can articulate what exactly defines sovereign cloud and what are some of the use cases for sovereign cloud and how we are helping CyberCloud to ensure they build such a comfortable environment for our entity, taking into cognizance the policy art of NITDA.
So thanks for that, Sydney. And I think you've highlighted a few key points. So, I mean, it's evidently clear, right, that there is a definite need for a sovereign cloud. And sovereign clouds are growing in importance as a way to help nations and local organizations protect citizens' privacy and citizens' data. And at VMware, we've recognized this need and kicked off the Sovereign Cloud Initiative at VMworld last year. And this is really a unique opportunity where our VMware Cloud verified providers like CyberCloud will proactively design and build solutions to help and address this growing need. A secure, trusted cloud with a sovereign, software-defined architecture places CyberCloud in a position to deliver on this very important capability, allowing their customers to protect data and comply with privacy laws governing information, residency, and sovereignty. And in essence, still fueling business growth by giving companies the confidence to operate within and across national borders. I'm going to deep dive now into the sovereign cloud framework. So, I mean, the rising concerns over privacy protection have led to a slew of national and regional data protection laws and regulations that govern data retention and the movement of data. The Patriot Act from the USA, the Digital Privacy Act in Canada, GDPR, LGPD, and more recently, the National Cloud Computing Policy of Nigeria. So as Africa, we are close on the heels of also developing and putting forward what we believe addresses this data sovereignty challenge. But what is a sovereign cloud? A sovereign cloud is a framework that seeks to deliver a mechanism whereby organizations, both in the private and public sector, can harness, protect, and unlock value of their critical data to build this national data economy. This is being achieved by VMware cloud providers like CyberCloud, who offer both the data sovereignty as well as the security, compliance, and control of organizations' data in order to build out this national data economy. So I'm going to challenge you with a question here. Would you place your company's sensitive data on a Facebook server? And I'll leave you to ponder on that. Data residency and data sovereignty. So data residency refers to the physical and geographic location where data is processed and stored. This may be dictated due to policy, regulatory, tax, or even performance reasons. Data sovereignty refers to data being subject to the privacy laws and governance structures within the nation where that data is collected. So I've often seen, in my interactions that data sovereignty and data residency are often conflated topics. To simplify it, ensuring data sits within a geographical location is a topic of data residency, while the idea that this data is subject to the exclusive legal protections of a nation is a matter of data sovereignty. So hyperscale clouds and the public clouds, we've all heard of Azure and AWS and GCVE and the likes. And some may argue that the hyperscalers have a local in-country footprint or in-continent footprint. And whilst that provides an answers to data residency and data locality, it does not address the need for data sovereignty, as the data is still subject to the jurisdictional control and laws of the tech company's host nation. The above are excerpts from one of the hyperscale's privacy statements. Data sovereignty means maintaining authority and control of data within jurisdictional boundaries. And VMware Cloud verified providers are able to achieve this since these laws do not preside over their cloud platforms. So you may argue that VMware is a US-based company and would thus need to abide by the same laws. And whilst we are a US-based company, our local cloud providers in country are providing a local sovereign cloud backed by our technology. This is vastly different from a US hyperscale cloud that is owned and managed by a US company. As VMware, we have no insight into the data stored in CyberCloud's cloud. This is the key difference. But what are the use cases for a sovereign cloud? Why are we really amplifying this need for sovereign cloud? And building a sovereign cloud that protects customer information and maintains compliance really does offer many valuable business benefits. Improved data control, enhanced cloud security, a strengthening compliance, that ability to still provide business insight and portability whilst facilitating business growth. The valuable features of a sovereign cloud attract many sectors. This is not only limited to the public sector or government cloud, and is a sizable opportunity. I mean, we've witnessed the emergence of industry sovereign clouds, especially for regulated industries such as financial services, insurance, healthcare, telcos. Sovereign Gov Cloud provides solutions tailored to the public sector. So this is not limited. And the availability of VMware Sovereign Cloud presents a great business opportunity in terms of addressing your country's data governance and data privacy laws. Local cloud providers like CyberCloud understand local and national regulations and are expanding their business offerings into delivering sovereign cloud initiatives within Africa as a whole. Remember, a sovereign cloud ensures data residency and data sovereignty across regions and clouds. VMware has seen this need, and VMware saw the need to address this. And this was kicking off the VMware Sovereign Cloud framework. And a sovereign cloud is more than just data sovereignty, but it delivers to a framework of guiding principles that adhere to data sovereignty requirements within a specific jurisdiction, but allows cloud operators to operate in line with the mandate of the relevant government or commercial body, addressing the need, and this is where they fit in, addressing the need for data sovereignty and jurisdictional control, while still maintaining data access integrity, security and compliance, as well as the ability to expand from an independent ability perspective. Another key topic that we're seeing emerge is digital transformation and cloud. But what drives a digital transformation strategy for your customers, and what drives a digital transformation strategy for end customers? Your customers are looking to derive increased profitability, looking to enhance both their employee as well as customer experiences, spark innovation, as well as give themselves a competitive advantage over other players within their relevant market segment. But with this, really does come some challenges. Transformation is not easy. But where does a cloud provider come in? Where does CyberCloud come in to address these needs? CIOs have key focused business objectives, which typically range from reducing costs to accelerating time to market. And many of these present key challenges, since CIOs often need to perform what I call a juggling act between their various key objectives. On the one hand, they have a mandate to drive change, but they still need to maintain status quo in some aspects. They need to build accountability into tech innovation. The need to reduce tech debt and stabilize operations, while still needing to eliminate risk. The ability to be agile. And this leaves a bit of a conundrum. Is it really about rebuilding the plane while flying it? Or is it time to build a new plane while flying the old one? And this is where CyberCloud comes in to address this requirement and speak to this need. We've also seen an industry shift where IT models have seen a significant shift in terms of the way they are procured, consumed, and provisioned. As VMware, we recognize that these behavioral changes in IT models significantly impacts the way business is being done. Cloud providers such as CyberCloud serve as the conduit to accelerate this journey of IT model maturity. The move to a more consumptive as-a-service model will see businesses drastically change their behavior towards IT spend. The expectation is that IT must no longer just be a cost center delivering IT services, but that IT must now enable business objectives. And the speed at which IT delivers will have a direct impact to the competitiveness in their market segment. CIOs no longer want to own infrastructure and own assets, but rather want to leverage access to assets. They are not so concerned with massive CapEx outlays, but are now embracing an OpEx as a service consumptive model. IT in the old world delivered a build, manage, and run type operation. Now, IT must deliver business outcomes and must deliver business value. But where does cloud fit in? Cloud is the enabler to a digital-first strategy. I mean, to me, it comes as no surprise that most organizations will be leveraging cloud as the enabler to digital transformation. I mean, when I saw this research, even I was quite shocked by this research, and I'm sure they surprise you as well. But as VMware, we've been stating for a number of years that it will be a hybrid multi-cloud world, that 80% in aggregate or so of organizations would have some level of a hybrid or multi-cloud strategy, that there wouldn't be the single homogeneous cloud environment where a client consumed from a single public cloud hyperscaler, but rather that they'd consume from 2, 3 or more along with a sovereign private cloud. But this also surprised me with the number of organizations that are going to mainly run their applications in a private cloud, and not just the existing 3-tier applications, but even their funky new cloud native applications built on Kubernetes. And this research is from our region. This is Africa-based research, where the concerns about data sovereignty are even higher than elsewhere on the globe. Security is becoming an even more pressing issue. Compliance is critical. Additionally, network connectivity and performance are just as crucial for the new applications as they were for the traditional applications. These aspects don't change because an application is architected in a different manner. Cost, as ever, is a huge issue. And there's a common fallacy in the industry that public cloud will always be cheaper than a sovereign cloud or a data private cloud. But there are so many factors to consider. And it is really use case dependent. This multi-cloud world comes with its own challenges. And this is where partnering with CyberCloud will accelerate your cloud adoption journey. But where does CyberCloud fit in a multi-cloud world? CyberCloud, as a strategic partner, has a role to play for an end customer as well as for resale partners in embracing cloud adoption and positioning themselves as a trusted advisor in this multi-cloud world. To kick off with, and Laurel mentioned it earlier, CyberCloud has invested in building out a VMware Cloud verified multi-tenanted platform. This seeks to address scale as well as the ability of multi-tenancy. They also have built out a model which allows resale partners to partner with them in order to on-sell or resell their cloud platform. The ability to provide cloud services to the traditional on-prem customers. They have the ability to transform traditional on-prem virtualization stacks into now a private cloud. The ability to extend this into edge locations, where there's a need for data to reside closer to where the compute and processing resides, specific to healthcare, manufacturing, and other industries. CyberCloud can also offer and extend their services into the hyperscale clouds by having the ability to offer a VMware Cloud experience in the likes of AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, as well as the other partnerships that we have. This enterprise world is hybrid and multi-cloud. And CyberCloud has this opportunity where they can offer these services on top of technology and extend existing or tap into new areas where workloads will reside. From a managed services provider, they will leverage our cloud SaaS services in order to provide a construct of multi-cloud management. And I hope I've shown you how they position themselves as a strategic trusted advisor in the territory and in the industry. With multi-cloud comes this need around next generation managed services. Now, there's a common misnomer in the cloud industry that there is an elusive single pane of glass that will manage any customer's multi-cloud environment. From a VMware standpoint, we believe that this is more of a competency-driven approach to multi-cloud management that must address key areas, and that there's no single tool that can aptly address this multi-cloud complexity for an enterprise. Tools aside, customers should seek the advice of managed service partners like CyberCloud that can deliver to this need by employing the right tool, the right skill set, and competency across this multi-cloud world. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope I've given you some insights in terms of VMware strategy and our partnership with CyberCloud. I'm now going to hand over to Laurel, who will walk you through the simplicity in partnering with CyberCloud. I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Sumit. That was a wonderful presentation highlighting and simplifying multi-cloud, talking about the data sovereignty policy. Thank you, Sydney, as well, too, for sharing with us the impact and what government is also doing concerning data sovereignty policy in Nigeria. I would like to bring Tobechukwu Ajoku now to showcase us some of the products that CyberCloud is offering and capable of doing as well, too. If you are in the enterprise space, if you are in the oil and gas space, you are in the public sector space, SME space, and even for the resellers. A lot of people, especially some of the resellers of the infrastructure or hardwares, threatened and feel their business is no longer safe because they feel with adoption of cloud computing, they will not be able to sell as much as they used to sell servers or hardwares. But I can reassure you, if you're listening to me today, that with cloud computing adoption in Nigeria, you can partner with CyberCloud. And you can sell the servers that you're used to, but in a virtual format. During the presentation that will be anchored by Toby, you will be seeing the different products that you can sell as a reseller. And the revenue that you also make, which is very key because everybody likes ROI, return on investment. If I become a partner, what is in this for me? So during the presentation that will be shared by Toby, you will be seeing the millions that you also benefit as one of our partners to resell products, which cuts across different business sectors, especially in the SME space. We have a lot of website developers, those in the software application development, those in the fintech space, who might not have the financial capacity to be able to invest so much to have their own on-prem, which with the security we're talking about and the agility, nobody also wants to invest so much. If you're not playing in the commercial space like the commercial banks, you will not want to invest so much investing in the servers that runs out of life. And after a while, 3-4 years, you're replacing them. We're talking about cooling and power. We're talking about unstable infrastructure in the country. We all know how much each and every one of us are paying to purchase a liter of diesel. So with cloud computing, adopting CyberCloud as your partner, a lot of these burdens will be taken off you. So may I invite Tobechukwu Ajoku to please show us some of the products, the beautiful products that are very, that brings a lot of immense value to different business sectors that are also cost effective. We'll put all of those into consideration as well to put us at the back of your mind that you will not also be paying in dollars, you'll be paying us in Naira because that is also a lot of concerns for people in Nigeria and also West Africa where we have presence as well too. So Tobechukwu, are you ready for us in the next 10 minutes to please showcase us the different products that CyberCloud offers?
All right, thank you so much, Maria. And thank you, Sumit and Sydney, for laying the background. So I'll quickly share my slides to highlight this.
Okay, Tobe, please 1 minute. While Tobechukwu is presenting for our participants, please feel free to drop your questions on the chat box panel and we will pick it up, and if it is necessary, we'll mention it here. I have one question that somebody talked about during Sumit's presentation. After Tobe's presentation, I would actually read out the question for us all to discuss. Tobe, please go ahead.
Toby, sorry to interrupt you. I think you're on mute.
Toby, please.
Oh, sorry about that. Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry about that. Am I audible now?
Yes, fantastic. We can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so what we've done here is put the product in the use cases scenario, so that as much as we're describing the product used, so this is for enterprises to see the products and where it fits into their own scenarios. Okay. Right, so this is a summary page. We have the software-defined data center, which we call the SDDC as an acronym. All right, so this is suited for enterprises. All right, so enterprises who have multiple virtual machines, front-end servers, back-end databases, they need to intercommunicate, all right, and they need to have absolute control of these environments. So within a software data center, a software-defined data center, a customer, an enterprise will have access to network control, security, control policy administration. Such a customer might want to have domain controllers, okay, so that policies on premises can be ported into the environment. Remember, this cloud infrastructure is here in Nigeria. You have low latency between your on-premises, between your customers and the environment, and you also have the ability to ensure that end-to-end management of the infrastructure can be administered from your own environment. Okay, we have a dedicated cloud infrastructure which is being built and structured for enterprises with very highly sensitive information, like the health sector or the crime fighting institutions in Nigeria, or the government and the financial card carrying information institutions. So the banks, the payment industry, who carries sensitive information that should not, for any reason, be disclosed or be shared. All right, so this infrastructure is dedicated, still within our stack, but exclusively dedicated to such a customer, and their processing, their data are stored on distinctly separated or separated physically from every other stack that we have in the environment. The hybrid cloud infrastructure provides a scenario where customers who currently have existing data center today, so when I say this, I know that most enterprises, the banks, the payment service industry players, the service providers, the ISPs currently have infrastructure that they are running on premises most times. But would they be able to sustain the requirement of changing servers that are end of life, doing those refreshes, buying new servers for new projects within the scope of what they need to do? All right, so the hybrid cloud allows such a customer to bring in their workloads into our cloud, all right, while maintaining their on-premises infrastructure. So working with both environments at the same time. Remember, you can port policies, you can port security and control across those two areas, and ensure that the systems are running concurrently, and you have resources beyond what you have on premises. Allows you to scale out, allows you to move workloads across and bring them back where or when they are duly used. All right, so this forms a scenario where the development teams, for example, for a software development firm, can use the environment for what they want to have. We also today have software as a service, consumption-based subscriptions, where a partnership with Microsoft comes to play here. So typically, we see enterprises buy licenses on a perpetual license model, which is costly. It becomes a capital expenses. But on our cloud, on CyberCloud, you can consume these licenses on a monthly pay-as-you-use basis. So you have the SQL licenses, the server operating systems, doing backup, and some security licenses are also available. So Carbon is part of the VMware stack security and is available for use within the CyberCloud environment. We have the Cloud IVS, which is a cloud intelligence video surveillance system. And what this provides for our customers is ability to move or offload video camera footages from their on-premises surveillance devices and retain the intelligence that those camera footages have. So you're not copying a video that will become a movie, or you're copying a video that will retain its intelligence. You can still run your bookmarks on it, you can still do analytics, you can still do ensure that false positives are eliminated, and you check for where incidences did occur, as against watching a full scale video because you moved it out of the on-premises DVR. Okay, we have backup as a service scenarios where our customers, for example, those in the microfinance sector today, who are by regulation expected to move their ledgers, their transaction histories off from their physical environments. All right, can put up those ledgers or those history of transactions within our environment as a backup scenario. Thereafter, can retrieve them where there's a need or where there's a failure on the on-premises existing infrastructure. Then, of course, the disaster recovery as a service that we provide, which is built on the VMware realized recovery system, okay, and the vCloud Director recovery architecture as well. Now, this allows enterprises that currently have VMware services running on premises, okay, to have a recovery site within CyberCloud. Remember, it becomes a VMware to VMware architecture, and recovery becomes very seamless. Some of these details or technicalities we can explain and walk anyone who has that interest through. The desktop as a service portfolio, okay, serves the people or the enterprises who have intellectual property. So, for example, if your organization is a software development house, all right, and you do not want your software team to have their codes on their laptop, which could be stolen on the streets of Lagos, which could get missing, okay, or can also be copied off a laptop, then you can be considering a desktop as a service offering from CyberCloud. So this gives you a virtual interface, all right, and your laptop your laptop becomes a dummy screen with keyboard and LAN connection, while the processing, the coding, the testing that you do happens exclusively on CyberCloud. So again, this protects your intellectual property and ensures that they are safe as your staff move around Lagos. The platform as a service, it gives you an array of services, okay, depending on which platform you are inclined to using, that can be imported from the marketplace that again that VMware provides, and allows you to use them without having to bother about the infrastructure. You have a fully built platform that you can only just bring in your applications or your data to run on. Then containers. Containers from the bedrock for microservices today. So if your enterprise has reached that maturity where you've adopted agile development methodology and you run DevOps, you run microservices, all right, containers becomes very handy, very useful for your environment. So just to let you know that CyberCloud provides containers services provided as Kubernetes, as Docker, as Google Anthos for any of the services that you want to run. So this can be discussed with you as well. Then the SD1 structure, which is a software-defined wide area network system, currently exists, where you want to connect an enterprise with multiple locations across the enterprise, across Nigeria, ensuring that at every point in time you can control the network segmentation, the policies across all of those enterprise locations, without having to deploy resources to those places to manipulate or configure, administer those endpoint devices. So all that's needed here are gateways, okay, which are typically plug and play. So once they are plugged into the network, wherever they are, they can pick up configurations from the central management plane and ensure that your enterprises come live as soon as possible. The hyper-converged infrastructure is where an enterprise today desires to virtualize the environment, Then we can bring in skill sets to and the tools that VMware provide to help you virtualize the environment. Thereafter, after the virtualization, it becomes possible to have the hybrid scenarios. It becomes possible to have the disaster recovery scenarios that are earlier on mentioned. Then, of course, with the skill set we have in-house, with the trainings gotten from VMware and expertise with managing and building our own environments, we can also provide consulting services for customers who have on-premises infrastructure and lead you the path of bringing them up to where you want to be, and also allowing you to take advantage of what the cloud currently provides. Okay, I would share a second slide, which will be highlighting the reseller scheme that we currently have and how that scheme can benefit anyone who wants to join the reseller scheme on this call. All right, just a minute, please. Okay, so we have an onboarding process. So this is where the money is for the resellers on this call. So if you're an enterprise, if you're an IT, if you have experience moving or advising customers to move to any other hyperscaler out there in the world, we're letting you know that this is available here in Nigeria, and you can onboard on using the process that I want to share here now, and bring customers to the CyberCloud platform. What this also gives you is ability to talk to somebody quickly. We're here in Nigeria. We have a team here in Nigeria as well. We provide the consulting expertise, but there's training on ground to ensure that you can do this properly. There's also that rapport you can get that you will not get by going abroad. Besides this, there's a lot of incentives and back-end referral benefits that will accrue to an enterprise in that structure. All right, so basically we need you to be a company, all right, registered with CAC. You will have an outlet because you will need to meet with customers. You need to have the competency, so there will be someone or some people within your team who understand IT, who are trainable. Okay, so these are going to be staff within your enterprise. Yeah, of course, you onboarded. You will have to do a KYC, utility bill, bank statement, documentations with CAC, and of course, there's an onboarding payment which you will provide a proof that has been done. There will be SLA, there will be ID card, there will be photographs. This to ensure that the trust that we build with our customers, okay, you will also uphold that trust. Remember, this is data. This has to do with companies, data, people, Nigerians, all of that. So trust is at the center of what we do here. Okay. So there will be proper verification, all right, ensuring that all documents provided are correct. The representatives of your organization are actually representations that you want to bring forth, and that the payments for the onboarding have been done. Agreements will be reached on how payments will be made from your side, whether they be quarterly or biannually or annually. Then, of course, a band will be chosen, which essentially tells you how much capacity you're willing to sell or able to sell within the agreed period of time, and also the incentive that accrues to you for selling that band of service. All right, we have teams in-house here who will handhold you to ensure that you have the best of the resources to bring in people and also earn the revenue that accrues at the end of the day. Okay, there will be meetings, there will be engagements, there will be support calls, and all of that will ensure that your team have the skills or have the ability to carry out their tasks, the day-to-day tasks of onboarding customers, of getting new people on board and letting them know how the service works. So these are okay. So what we do here is to ensure that you have that experience firsthand, And when you're preaching the service, you can preach it as you experienced it. So the workshops are real workshops. You're expected to come with laptops, so that as you walk through the platform, you're also trying things yourself and seeing what will mean as ease of use. So you will experience it firsthand, okay, and enable you to move on from there also. Okay, so I will take you through the reseller incentives now. All right, their discounts, their commissions, their back-end incentives for completing your sales cycles, and all of these are in the agreements that will be signed at the point of onboarding. Now, I mentioned bands and all of that. So the band you choose would affect the incentives that accrue to you at the end of the day. And thereafter, you can upgrade where you have gone beyond that particular band in your capacity. All right, so what we've done here is to put out typical, so again, because this for the resellers, your initial 1 or 2 calls might be people who want to buy just a virtual machine. All right, so the virtual machines, which typically are called VPSs, the virtual private servers, could be a VM with 2 CPUs, 4 gigabits of RAM, and 100 gig of storage. This could be a starting point. So there's a price point at the entry, okay, where the customer, what the customer is expected to pay. All right, there's an amount that would be for CyberCloud. There's an amount that accrues to you as a back-end incentive, and there's also incentives that accrue to customers or partners or reseller partners who meet their target based on the bands that they've chosen for the month or for the quarter, depending on what agreements reach. So we have dealers price, we have back-end incentives, we have targets, busters, incentives as well. We have the silver, the virtual silver, we have the virtual gold, the virtual platinum. So these are virtual machine sizes. When you come in for the private sessions for these incentives and resellership program, this will be cracked down on, go deeper into this and show you how these virtual sizes have been mapped. All right, so we'll scale up a bit to where a reseller on this call can sell the SDDC. So the SDDC, as I mentioned earlier, the scenario is that the buyer is an enterprise. The buyer has some level of skill set in-house. The buyer wants to have absolute control over multiple virtual machines that need to intercommunicate. The buyer wants to set policies and all of that. So where a customer, a reseller on this call has a buyer who wants to consume the SDC, then we have some other plans that will be effective at that point. Now, the commissions will still be 12.5%, all right, when an SDC is sold. That could be any amount based on the size of SDC, all right? But where the customer consumes, where the reseller sells out all of the resources that he or she has signed up to, there's a 2.5% incentive. Beyond the monthly accrual, there's a 2.5 incentive because of, again, that is the target busters back-end incentive. Commission where the SDC has been sold becomes 40,000 Naira, again, based on the size of the SDC. If it's larger, the commission becomes larger than this. If it has more components and more services, then of course, all those accrue to the customer. Again, it's 12.5% on the monthly basis. Okay, now beyond just the resources of the RAM and the CPU, there are also network services. There are services that will come in only when the customer is purchasing an SDC, all right, which gives them those absolute controls I mentioned earlier. Now, those services, when they come in, the calculations will change. And of course, because there's more components now, there's also more accruals to a reseller on this call. So we have different bands. We have 6 bands. And these 6 bands are categorized on the number of SDC that a reseller is willing to take up in a month. Now, you're allowed to start small, you're allowed to scale up, you're allowed to grow as you get customers. But then the band puts defines the entry levels that a reseller should be willing to take up at the point of entry. You could take up 2 SDCs. Okay, at that point, the buyer is looking at coming in at band 1, and 2 SDCs for a month will mean that you should be able to sell up to 24 in a year. All right. There's a monthly payment of 400,500 naira. There's a quarterly payment of 1.2 billion. There's a biannual and 6-month payment of 2.4 and 4.8 for annual. Where the customer comes in, the reseller comes in with a band 2. He or she is willing to take up 4 SDCs in a month. Okay, and that will be summing up to 48 in a year. The band 3 allows you to come in with 8 for a month and 96 in a year. The band 4 takes up 12 SDCs in a month and 144 in a year. The band 5, 24 and 288 in a year. Band 6, 40 in a month and 480 in a year. All right. Now, when we go down to the left, to the right, you see the amount annual revenues increase. Do not be worried about this. We'll have the resources to train you on how this works and also how this benefits you. So the more the revenue, the more your accruals, the more the back-end incentives once you meet those targets. Again, you're allowed to start little and grow as your own customer bases also increase. Okay, now for all of those bands, remember there are incentives. There are direct commissions that come to you for selling. There are incentives for meeting your band targets in a month. And all of that revenue are paid to you either on a monthly basis or quarterly basis, again, based on the agreements that we reach at the point of sign-up. Okay, so again, this repeats the same thing. This is just showing the profits that you will have. Remember, we're not doing this alone. We're encouraging the people who have played in this space, and of course, new entrants who have dealt with customers moving to the cloud to now channel their resources to selling a local cloud that's supported by VMware. So we are also ensuring that for all of those work that you do, there are revenue that comes to you. And there's a table here that shows how much you will earn, okay, for selling those services. For a reseller who comes in with the band 1, okay, so comes with the band 1 here has a 600,750 naira revenue that comes at the end of the month. So this is revenue because the commissions are coming to you directly per sale. Now, where and when you complete this target in the specified period of time, there's also commission, the 2.5% commission that comes in to motivate you and your team as well. So these spreadsheets will be shared and the calculations will be reviewed when we sit down together for the onboarding process. So these prices, okay, may change. All right. Remember that when they change, the percentages do not change. The prices themselves change. So the revenue for you will most likely increase. All right. And the regulations that bind us to NIDA, to agreements to VMware will ensure that we uphold them strictly, ensuring that security is provided around all the services that we provide, and that everybody who works within the scheme as staff of CyberCloud, as a reseller to CyberCloud, okay, as partner, okay, also adheres to all of those regulations. We would make our time to, remember I mentioned earlier that the program provides regular meetings so that you're kept abreast of all the changes or all the improvements that we're bringing on board. And you also have the capacity to bring in or preach those features and services to your own customers at the end of the day. We'll provide you with support, provide you trainings, as I mentioned earlier. We'll also provide you with banners, with flyers, and souvenirs that you could hand out to your customers, okay, to motivate and to also to keep it on the top of the mind that this service is from a local provider who meets the data sovereignty requirements here in Nigeria. All right, that will be all from me. L'Oreal, I didn't take too much of the time.
Thank you very much, Tobe. Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful presentation. And for our audience, I'm sure and I believe strongly that you've taken a lot of knowledge on cloud computing adoption and the different channels that CyberCloud is also offering. Our products caters for different target audience. If you are in the enterprise space, and you're looking at moving your workload from the public offshore where it's resident to Lagos, to Nigeria, please feel free to contact us on our customer care number 01515 2999. 01515 2999. And then you can also contact us via our email address, customercare@cybercloud.net.ng or sales@cybercloud.net.ng. Also, for the target audience who are also here that are looking at partnering with us, I'm sure the presentation entices you a lot, especially on the revenue part, because everybody who makes any investments will be very keen on the ROI. What comes in for me? What's the revenue generation for my own small organization or for myself? You can be rest assured that partnering with CyberCloud, you will still be making a lot of revenue, if not even more than you have been making selling hardware. So our platform is very robust and caters for all business sectors. Public sector, the SME, the key or enterprise players, the mid SMEs, all business sectors can actually make benefit or find one benefit from all the products and all the presentations we have made today. Security is very key, and we have layers of securities and redundancies on our platform, just to give you that level of comfort. Okay, so before I go forward, this is now our question and answer time. There are lots of questions on the panel, and I believe my panelists are also ready to take the questions. Okay, so I have a question here from Jane, and she would like to know the levels of the securities. So Sumit and Tobe, Sydney, would you like to take these questions? Jane would like to know the levels of the securities we have on our platform. First, the CyberCloud providing cloud computing services, and then VMware, our technical partners as well too. So Sumit, do you want to go first? As a technical partner, then Tobe, you come in afterwards.
Sure. So I mean, security is a key topic, and security is always top of mind for a lot of entities. In terms of security, with the fact that CyberCloud has been awarded a VMware validated, has built and is a VMware Cloud verified partner, this signals to industry that CyberCloud has built against VMware's validated designs, of which security and securing that platform is of utmost importance. So I think any customer hosting on your platform or anyone looking to partner with you can be rest assured that you've built against our validated design as VMware and our best practices, which encompasses multiple layers of security. I think from a technical perspective, Toby can really dive deep into those multiple layers of security. But from a VMware perspective, the fact that you've built against our validated design shows that it is a secure and robust platform.
Thank you, Sumit, for that response. Okay, Toby.
Thank you, Sumit. Yes, so to the question, security, what we've done is to ensure security across the board. So we've implemented layers of physical security. We implemented logical separation. We've also implemented endpoint as well as cybersecurity within the stack. And where it becomes interesting is that beyond the security that we have control over, we've also provide the avenue to hand over security for the customer's particular stack and services to the customer. Remember where I mentioned that the customer has the full access to control policies, to port policies from on-premises into the environment, to bring in different so for example, where a customer has an affinity for a particular OEM security box or image, they can import that image with their help, onto the platform and use it with the skill set they have. So someone might have, for example, an XYZ firewall service that they have skill set with managing in-house, and they want to use that within the CyberCloud environment. That same image can be imported and mounted within the environment and used because they have the skill set, and manage their security themselves. So this is additional layer of security that gives the customer ability to do those things that they want to do themselves. But within the scope of what we provide, we also have the NXS, which is the network and security across the cloud, which allows you to provision, to manage, to ensure micro-segmentation, policies, security certificates, all of that within the cloud infrastructure. So security is well taken care of and is one of the most important areas of ensuring that our customers are safe. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that response. And Jane, you've heard it from the experts. You can be rest assured that if you bring in your workload or application or partner with CyberCloud, security will not be or will not pose any challenge to your data. Okay. I also have another question here from one of the participants, Samson. Samson picked interest on our sovereign cloud, and he would like to know, and his question is, if a Nigerian company is using a foreign cloud tech platform, is the company's data subject to Nigerian's law or that of the foreign nation's law, or both? So Sumit and Sydney, you actually explained a lot of things around data sovereignty policy. Would you like to take this question, please?
I'll take this one, and a brilliant question, right? Because this is where we find the challenge and the complexity around these multiple laws that govern it. The way I see it, and from a VMware perspective, it speaks to a shared responsibility model. When you host your company, Nigerian company data in a localized sovereign cloud like CyberCloud, you are then only subject to the local laws of that country, so only local Nigerian laws. When you host your data in a hyperscale cloud, it is your responsibility to ensure that you are keeping the data in line with regulatory and compliance laws of Nigeria, but also be cognizant that that host nation, so the US Cloud Act and the Patriot Act, also has jurisdiction over your data. So your data in that aspect, if I can answer it fairly high level, your data is not sovereign when hosted in a public cloud hyperscale, whereas it is sovereign from a local law and governance perspective when hosting with CyberCloud. I hope that answers it.
Something I want to believe that answers your question, right? If you still need further information on that subject, please feel free to send us an email after this webinar on customercare@cybercloud.net.ng. Okay? Okay, I have just two more questions before we wrap up this webinar. There's another question here which talks about the benefits of owning sovereign cloud in terms of protection of companies' database. I want to believe the last speaker actually responded to this. Sumit, do you want to shed more light on this? The benefits of owning the sovereign cloud in terms of protection of companies' database.
So sure, I'd be happy to answer that, Laurel. So again, it speaks to harnessing and protecting company data. hosting company sensitive data and citizen data in a sovereign cloud gives you the assurance that that data is remaining resident and remaining sovereign. Taking that same company database and now placing it in a hyperscale cloud, be it in a South Africa jurisdiction or locality, or in one of the Europe clouds, means that you've got to ensure that the data is sovereign, not the cloud provider. The cloud provider still has all the other jurisdictional controls that can subpoena your data and can hand over your data to the host nation. So if I can simplify this construct of sovereignty, the US government, when hosting in one of the public clouds, has jurisdictional control if they deem fit to subpoena your data as a Nigerian company for whatever fit purpose they require. When you host your data in a local cloud provider cloud, nobody has access to that data but yourself, and it ensures that your data is even protected in terms of and is in alignment with the local governance and laws. So it becomes a question of, if you are comfortable placing your data where you know another host nation can access it, then so be it. If you are concerned about data protection and harnessing that, because we should be protecting our citizens' data. It's our IP. As Africans, this is our IP, and we should be pulling out all the stops to harness our own data and protect our own data. It goes back to the question that I asked earlier. Would you place your company data on a Facebook server? And I'm sure we can all answer that. So I think there's a lot of considerations, and I'm happy, and this is an offer to the CyberCloud team and the audience, that we can really have a deep dive session around sovereign cloud and what it really means. I could talk about it for hours, but I think we can really deep dive around what data sovereignty and what the Sovereign Cloud Initiative really means.
Okay, just to add to that, beyond the security, there is also economic value to that. Sumit alluded to IP, and we all understand what an IP is. IP, intellectual property, is one of the core tenets of any successful business. So we understand the importance of all the critical role data is playing in most of the advanced society today. Why is that so? It's because they've been able to then control and harness that. And precisely that's what, if you look at the needs, that policy is to ensure, beyond the security, how can we also have access to those things for economic planning in order to deliver what we call the economic recovery growth, the ERG plan they talked about. They now understand data is critical for any transformation. In the past, we look beyond agriculture as one of the backbone. Fast forward, yes, indeed, agriculture is part, but we also reckon that data is becoming a critical component in delivering on economic pledge from jurisdictional government. And so that's why it's critical that we take a look at sovereign data and see how we can complement the effort of the government in order to not only protect citizens' data, but also how they can leverage on that to advance the economy to a large extent.
Thank you very much for that further elaboration by Sydney. Okay, so I think we've answered most of the questions, the ones that we needed to bring to public, and quite a lot we have also responded as a technical team at the back has responded as well to some of the critical questions. So on the screen, please feel free to engage us further. And you can also check our website as well too for further information that might interest you as an individual looking to partner with us, or as an enterprise looking to move their workload, their applications that is actually public on a public space to CyberCloud. And as you know, CyberCloud is the indigenous leading cloud computing service provider in Nigeria today. I want to believe that a lot of us have taken a lot of information that will help us take some informed decisions, that will help us as well to talk to a lot of our CIOs. So we're looking at in future, maybe in a month or two's time, to also have another audience with some of the CIOs to also bring some of this information to their doorstep, so that as they are planning their digital transformation for the year and 2023, they will also look towards this cloud computing adoption. So on this note, I would like to say a very big thank you to our panelists. I also like to say a very big thank you to our participants for taking time to join this webinar. I strongly believe that you've taken a lot of learnings from today's webinar. And please, like I said earlier on, feel free to engage us for further clarifications, further onboarding questions, and we look forward to receiving you. Sumit, Sydney, Toby, and all the participants, I want to say a very big thank you to you all. And I say please.
Sorry, Lauren, in order to be fair to one of the guests, he says his question was not answered. I don't know if
okay, please, can you please prompt me which of the questions, please?
Yeah. Adesoji, can you repost your question?
Okay, so I can cover that question and hand over to yourself, Toby, in terms of a technical answer to this. So Adesoji asked, please can you share details of the fault tolerance ability of CyberCloud similar to hyperscalers availability zones? Can your services withstand a data center outage? Toby?
Okay. All right. My apologies, Adesoji. I think probably I must have skipped that while scrolling on other questions to be sure we capture most of the audience questions. So Toby, would you speak to this quickly before I add to it, please?
Okay. Thank you, Adesoji, for bringing us back to your question, and it's a very important one. So what we are doing is ensuring that the experience does not differ from what any customer already has with the hyperscalers. And to make that possible, we've established 2 availability zones in the west and 1 in north central. And the idea is to cover a lot more locations, have somewhere in the east as well, to ensure that we can keep data as close as possible to the customers. Nigeria is large in landmass. Data closer to you here in Lagos would actually make your customers' experience a lot better as opposed to being somewhere else, even though within the same country. But the availability zones will help us also become resilient, and also withstand outages where they happen. Yeah, so we have 3 locations at the moment, and that will increase as the business also scales. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you for that feedback, Toby. And thank you, Sydney, for raising that. And my apologies once again to Adesoji. I hope we're able to answer your question and you're very comfortable now. Okay. I don't think I can see any other question. I can see Jacob Sunday's hand up. You raised your hand. Can you please type your questions on the question and answer panel? And we will respond to you or chat us up. If you can, quickly do that. Else, after the webinar, like I said, the numbers, our contact numbers are on the screen. Kindly contact us after this webinar. On that note, I would like to say a very big thank you once again. Thank you for taking out your time to join. I want to believe that this section has been very impactful to you in respective of the sector you're representing, and we look forward to engaging you further. Thank you very much, our panelists. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your beautiful day. Thank you.
Thank you too.